You can try and get around it. You can try and keep an individual house from catching on fire. That's what firemen were doing up on Country Club. But at this point, if nature wants to take out this entire neighborhood, there's very little that firemen can do.
Well, Gary, we're just getting an update now that it has been confirmed more than 60 homes plus a 250-unit apartment complex has been destroyed. So it is moving. Those statistics are getting up there. Thanks very much, Gary, and we'll be checking back with you as you have more information for us.
And 5 fatalities at this point have been confirmed. We do have videotape of something we've been hearing about all day, which is the reporters on the scene have been talking about explosions that they've been hearing, and initially no one knew what they were. Firefighters eventually explained to them that they were, for the most part, transformers blowing up. Now, I was told earlier that we had a picture of that.
There it is.
And we might just
18-second shot, I think. There it goes. There's a transformer blowing up. That's one of the explosions that we've been reported. Coming into us.
If you've been hearing that and you're out there, then at least you know what it is.
Okay, so up to the moment, we have 5 confirmed fatalities. 60 homes have burned down, plus a 250-unit apartment complex above the Caldecott Tunnel right off of Highway 24. About 12 people being treated at Alta Bates Hospital and Highland Hospital for burns and smoke inhalation. BART remains shut down on the Concord line between Lafayette and San Francisco. There are calls out for help in Marin County is the latest thing. They will send in all the fire units they can. There was a call from Orinda saying that the fire has now gone over the Caldecott Tunnel and is now threatening homes in Orinda. If you're an AC Transit bus driver, you're being asked if you're off duty to please come into work. So much help is needed to drive evacuation buses. Emerson School has now been closed as an evacuation site, and Oakland Technical High is too full. So if you're going there for an evacuation site, it just can't take any more people. So the other evacuation sites, Willard Junior High, Oakland High, King Estates Junior High, and Fremont High has been the next one added. So don't go anymore to Oakland Tech. They just can't handle anymore. Go to Fremont High. That's on Foothill. And that's the latest we have.
At this point, this fire is 4.5 hours old. From what we hear, it is far from being contained, and we will take a short break and be back with the latest information for you.
How many pancakes have you eaten? No way.
Oh, yes, she did, because Mom switched to Bisquick. They're light and fluffy, and Bisquick doesn't have cholesterol.
I didn't know that. Did you know that? She knew that.
Bisquick makes today's pancakes.
Come on in for a meal with real cheese appeal. It's Tuna Helper Cheesy Noodle. Noodles, real cheese in the sauce, and your tuna turn into a delicious meal.
Tuna Helper makes a great meal.
With real cheese appeal.
Having trouble getting all your liquid dishwasher detergent out of the bottle? Relax. Try Cascade Liquid Gel. It comes out of the bottle like it should. First time, every time. And because it's pre-dissolved, it rinses away to leave your dishes sparkling, virtually spotless. Try Cascade Liquid Gel.
What's in the box? It's Kix, can't you tell? Is it good? Yeah, very good. Has it got any marshmallows? Nah. Sugar frosting? Nope. Well, what's in it? I'm hungry. We'll see.
What Kix has is a corn crunch that kids like. And Kix is low in sugar. That's what moms like.
That is good. Yeah, but they're very hard to open. Yeah.
Kix, kid tested, mother approved.
You probably know that the flavor of extra sugar-free gum lasts an extra long time. But you know what I discovered? Extra Winter Fresh. It gives my breath a freshness it's never had before. It keeps my breath winter fresh an extra long time. After all, what good is fresh breath if it doesn't last?
Keep your breath winter fresh an extra long time.
This is KTVU, Channel 2, your Fox affiliate in the Bay Area.
This is a KTVU special report. I am Leslie Griffith, and Elaine Corral has gone to get herself a drink of water and take a few minutes to have a break. Here is the latest information that we have on the fire right now. 5 fatalities, 9 injuries, mostly injuries from smoke inhalation in that area. The mayor of Oakland is trying to get the governor to declare this a disaster area. We want to tell you that if you are a homeowner and you have lost your home or your home has been damaged in some way, you need to call 1-800-927-HELP. And I'm assuming that what we're looking at now is a map of the area where the fire is. We were told that it's as far west as Claremont, as far east as Park Boulevard, and as far south as Broadway Terrace. So you're looking at the main fire area on that map. This is right next to the Caldecott Tunnel. Apparently the fire is no closer to being contained. From what we can tell, we were told that firefighters are still getting water from Lake Temescal. They are trying to pour water on the fire. The wind continues to whip up. It is extremely hot out there, a combustible combination for firefighters who are warning reporters to get out of the way, screaming for everyone to get out of the way as quickly as they can. We just got a call from a San Francisco firefighter who says now that he and his crew are protecting the Claremont Hotel. He says that so far they are holding the line around the Claremont. They have 25 more firefighters on the way. Firefighters are scarce right now. Also, several people have called asking about the use of the bombers and the water-dropping helicopters. That same San Francisco firefighter says that he has seen the bombers working, and he knows that they are using helicopters and they are dropping water wherever they can, although he said that he did not have any idea of the specifics. We also want to tell you, apparently people are calling, Fremont High is not an evacuation site. I repeat, it is not an evacuation site. The San Francisco Fire Department is in Oakland right now. They're trying to help out, as we said. The Claremont Hotel, we have some pictures that were taken a little bit earlier. What you're looking at now are pictures of the smoke, I believe, that were taken about noon. Now you can tell when the smoke is this white color that the fire is extremely hot. Oftentimes when it's mixed with a dark color, that's because firefighters have been able to douse it with water. And if you see the dark color, they're getting a little bit closer to doing some good out there. Highway 24 still closed in both directions. Highway 13 is completely closed down. You cannot go on Highway 13. And there were some questions about whether there were people whose cars were stuck on Highway 13. And we were told that the CHP has been out there making sure that the way is clear. And apparently there are no cars right now on Highway 13, so that is one bit of good news. Both airports, the San Francisco airport is continuing commercial service, as well as the Oakland airport. Now we're told that we have Rob Roth, and he is standing by. He has a live report for us. Rob.
Leslie, we're at the intersection of Glenbrook and Bowling in the Oakland Hills, and you can see behind me there's still another house that's in flames. The fire department is going to have to let it go, and probably homes next to it. The wind is kicking up, and it could be a real problem in this area. Now, I wanted to tell you that cameraman Nick Soares and I were at the fire this morning as it flashed. It started out as a very simple grass fire. In fact, the grass fire was yesterday. Firefighters said that somebody had thrown a lit cigarette in the canyon. They put it out yesterday. This morning they came to extinguish some hot spots. They thought they had it. Nick Soares and I were up there. They were starting to pack up, and the fire just took off. There was smoke everywhere. We were surrounded on almost 3 sides by smoke. Firefighters came and got us. We were separated from our car. Firefighters got us and took us away, as they did other people. They went door to door to evacuate. Some people didn't know what was going on. Other people were extremely upset and afraid. Some people were trying to get whatever belongings they could get into their cars. The firefighters wouldn't let them even do that. The fire was moving so fast, they wanted to get them out of there as soon as possible. And that, of course, that area is around Buckingham in Grizzly. And that area is in Buckingham and Grizzly, as I said. People tried to get out. One man that we met had a stroke. His wife needed help from the firefighters to get him out. So people were clearly upset and in a panic. And I think we have some tape. I don't have a monitor, but I think we have some tape we can show you of that scene. I believe you're seeing firefighters evacuating, getting people out of there. They went door to door. People actually tried to argue with the firefighters for more time. Firefighters would not let them. They wanted them out of those houses as quickly as possible. It created huge traffic jams on these small roads. People were nervous. I started to tell you about a man who had suffered a stroke. Firefighters had to help him out of the house. All in all, it was quite a scene. People were breathing a lot of smoke, including myself, and it was quite a situation. And they think it's all because of a lit cigarette from yesterday.
Rob, we see for the first time, this is the first picture I've seen of traffic trying to get out of an area like that. It looks like a huge mess there. Has it been that way as long as you've been there?
Leslie, it was an extreme traffic mess. It was the kind of thing you might see on the Bay Bridge in the morning. And picture this, these are very, very narrow, curvy roads. On a normal day, you might drive 5 miles an hour. These people were trying to bolt out. It created a huge traffic jam,
And Rob, if you can give us some idea specifically of where you are, if you don't mind going over that again.
Sure, we're at Glenbrook and Bowling, kind of in the heart of the hills. I think the nearest cross street of any size is Country Club, so it's kind of in that Claremont area.
It looks to be dark where you're standing. Is it completely dark out there?
Yes, and I was going to say, look at what time it is, and it feels like it's nighttime. And it felt like this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if you can believe that. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it felt as if it was 6 o'clock at night.
What about the wind, Rob? How is it? Can you tell any difference in the velocity of the wind?
The wind is picking up and shifting directions almost constantly. 1 minute it blows north, another minute it may die down for a while, then suddenly in a gust blow south, east, west, and it's perhaps the biggest cause of problems for the firefighters because they can't do anything. Until they get a handle on the wind. In fact, one firefighter told me that on a house on Marlboro, it had caught fire. They put it out, left, and they found out later that the wind had picked up again, and that house was destroyed after they'd put it out some less than an hour earlier.
Rob, this fire is so massive. If you can help us just a minute, get some idea. When a house is on fire, is there always someone trying to put it out, or are they letting them burn?
Well, some people, let me start off by saying some people, and you perhaps have seen pictures of it, people standing on their roofs with hoses. Firefighters are saying that with a fire like this, doing that is equivalent to trying to huff and puff and blow it out. It is doing absolutely no good. The firefighters every so often take a stand and they try to prevent the fire from moving forward. Then the wind will shift and it'll go somewhere else. Right now, from what I can determine, the fire has the upper hand.
Okay, Rob, stay safe out there, and we appreciate the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, Leslie, I went into the newsroom to get a quick cup of coffee, and I came out, and one of the writers, I don't know if you can get a shot of this, but our parking lot is, miles from the Caldecott Tunnel area, and she says we went out into the parking lot, and all of this was on top of her car, soot and ash and debris just raining down.
We're a good 20 minutes from the
Absolutely, at least 20 minutes, and all of this is out in our parking lot, and then we're getting reports that some of this is rained down on the San Francisco side. Pacific Telephone is asking you to please limit your phone service into the East Bay right now to keep more lines open for emergency services. And
you see there, Elaine, what you were just talking about.
Exactly.
That's how far our parking lot is from the fire, and you see what she just brought in from that fire.
So many times, people are concerned, and so they get on the telephone right away, but please keep those lines open for emergency services. The phone companies, if you don't have to call the area, please don't, so to keep those lines clear. Also, Mountain View Cemetery has been hit by the fire. A worker called Channel 2. It's just off Piedmont Avenue. Flames are in the back part of the cemetery where the older grave sites are. Workers were told to leave that area immediately. There's no fire hydrants there. It is very windy, so that's just another problem area. This is a live picture we're getting in right now. This this is what's going on right now. This is what happened an hour or two ago. This is burning right now. We haven't received information yet exactly where this is, but of course it would be in the Oakland, Berkeley Hills area near the Caldecott Tunnel where the problem started out. We were talking earlier about how the fire started at the Caldecott Tunnel and it was moving eastward, but in fact when I went into the newsroom, one of the producers, we were looking at a map, and actually it is moving southward along Highway 13. So you have that movement down by the Shepherd Canyon area where another fire broke out earlier.
Elaine, this is the Rockridge Drive area at Broadway and Lawton. And just from looking at that picture, it looks as if more than one home is burning in that picture alone. Again, we've been told 45 homes have burned so far. We've had 5 confirmed fatalities. Clearly, 45 is a conservative estimate, and we expect to get more information on that anytime soon.
We just got a call in from the manager of the Parkwood Apartments. Remember, you saw those pictures earlier, and we reported that there was 250 units in there. Well, in fact, there were 400 units, and he says 1,000 people were, lived there, and so you have 1,000 people just in the Parkwood Apartments that are now homeless because of this fire. And so we want to make sure we updated that information for you.
I want to remind you of all the things not to do. It may sound silly, but authorities are saying don't stop for wildlife. Get out, take yourself, save your own life. That's the most important thing. Don't run back into your house to get things that you don't need.
We were saying that 60 homes. First we were reporting 45 homes, and then we were saying 60 have been confirmed. But when you look at these pictures, this live shot right now, clearly those statistics are going to grow. Clearly before this is all over, there will be more than 60 confirmed homes. Now, you see all these people standing around watching, and earlier the mayor of Oakland was reportedly quite upset because there were a lot of people watching, and he was saying, that's what you don't need right now in a situation like this, to please evacuate the area and allow emergency crews to get in and out. You are looking at these pictures. This is a live picture. This is not tape from earlier. This is what is going on right now.
It's difficult to tell how far those people are from the fire. They could be 3-4 blocks away from that picture. It's difficult to tell, but they look to be too close for comfort. A couple of other things. Carbon monoxide is being released when the furniture in these homes burns. If you have respiratory problems, do not stand around with that group of spectators and watch what's going on. You need to make sure that you get out of that area. It's crucial. I want to also tell you that PG&E reports that there are nearly 10,000 customers in the East Bay now without power, and from looking at this picture you can understand why. PG&E says that it has lost power at 4 substations because of this fire, and that's causing the outages. PG&E has no way of knowing right now when they'll be able to restore power. Obviously that's something that they won't be able to tell us for quite some time.
As to what's happening on the other side of the Caldecott Tunnel, there was a resident who called to say homes were threatened, but when I went into the newsroom just a few minutes ago, apparently there aren't any homes on fire yet on that side of the Caldecott Tunnel. But again, that's another area that's in trouble. Certainly a few hours ago it hadn't moved that far, but now at least one resident from Orinda says homes in the Orinda area are being threatened. When you have a situation like this where the carbon monoxide levels are very, very dangerous because of all of the burning synthetics and the furniture that's burning inside homes, and then you have the poison oak that was burning in the hills, and so you have that complication. It's very dangerous to stand around and inhale this smoke, and so you are advised to get out of the area.
We also want to remind you BART is shut down, Highway 13 is closed, Highway 24 has been closed, parts of 580 are covered with soot and ash, and it is difficult to see. Do not go out if you don't have to drive. It is just, unless you have an emergency situation and you don't have to get involved in any of this congestion, it's a good idea to just stay where you are and be one of the lucky ones who is home safe. Parameters of the fire: as far west as Claremont, as far east as Park Boulevard, and south to Broadway Terrace. That is about an hour old. We don't have any idea how far the fire has moved within the last hour. We will continue to try to get that information to you as soon as we can. Now we have some updated information on the shelters for you.
In fact, actually, before we get to that, Leslie, some more bad news, unfortunately, to report. The National Weather Service is saying that the hot, dry winds that are out there, they will not die down until this evening, and they are going at 15 to 25 miles per hour, these dry winds, and they're saying that the same conditions are ripe right now. These are the same conditions that led to the Great Berkeley Fire in the 20s, and so it's just apparently no let up in sight, and this is the National Weather Service reporting this, that these winds will continue at least until sundown tonight.
Updated information on the shelters. The Red Cross says that hundreds of people are now at 4 shelters set up in the East Bay, and here are the 4 locations for you. This has Fremont High School written on it. Once again, we've got Fremont High School, and then I was told that Fremont High School is not an evacuation site, so we will double check that for you. Foothill, here's the other one, Willard Junior High School in Berkeley at Telegraph and Derby. At least 400 people are at the Willard Center right now. Another emergency shelter has been set up at King Estate School in the 8200 block of Fountain in Oakland. Also, Oakland Tech High School in Berkeley is another evacuation center, and we are told that there are about 300 people at that location. What I'm wondering, Elaine, is where are all of these people going? Because there are hundreds of people at the evacuation sites, but from what we've seen, you would expect many more people to be out of their homes tonight. So
now we're hearing that Tilden Park, the Botanical Gardens have been evacuated. When we started this emergency reporting, hundreds of people were evacuated. Now the evacuees are in the thousands. We're now confirming 60 homes destroyed. There was an apartment complex, the Parkwood apartment complex, 400 units there, 1,000 people. 5 people have been confirmed dead, and the mayor of Oakland says those 5 people were members of one family, and they were killed in the blaze, apparently in one home. Thousands of people evacuated, panic this afternoon, continuing through this late afternoon of people trying to get out of the area, trying to get what they can salvage from the fire.
this is the line that you need to call if your home has been damaged or destroyed. If you are one of those who have lost their home, pick up the phone and call this number. There is someone there who will be able to answer your questions regarding where you go from here.
And if you are wondering now, do they have a handle on this fire? Unfortunately, the answer is no. The Oakland fire chief himself is saying that this is just moving so quickly, we just cannot get a handle on it. It is out of control. We are desperately trying to evacuate the area. I mean, they're, beside themselves what to do about this. And as we reported, even early this afternoon, when the fire first broke out somewhere around 12:15, and I was on Highway 24, and there was just a wall of flames. At that point, there was not even any emergency vehicles on the scene. But then when the first ones arrived, some of the local firefighters, it was so intense and so hot at that time they couldn't even begin to fight it. And now, of course, it's just grown, and we've been watching it all afternoon with these incredible pictures. This is burning right now. This is a live picture of what's going on right now.
This fire is almost 5 hours old, and when you get reports such as you just read, which is no idea of when it's going to be contained, it becomes even more frightening, because clearly there is more to come.
Al Bates Hospital earlier had said that they had 4 people suffering from burns that were admitted, and 5 people from smoke inhalation. But that hospital is now on red alert. That's how dangerous the situation is, and they're preparing to receive more people. Highland Hospital says they have treated at least one person with very serious burns, maybe treated several people altogether. But these are reports that seem to change very quickly, and just as we thought at first 45 homes were burned, then we hear 60, and as you look at this video, you can believe that perhaps that figure, unfortunately, is going to go higher before this is all over.
Elaine, I know we've all been worried about George and what's going on with him. His home is very close to this area. I'm told that he's on the phone with us. So, George, how are you, pal?
Leslie and Elaine, I got here about 10 minutes ago. I live in Montclair, an area about a mile up into the hills from the village. It is closed off to traffic. There are police roadblocks. You can't get up here. I actually went around it because there was no way I was going to let my dog die.
But your home is safe at this point, George?
It's not on fire. I had received a report from a neighbor that ashes were falling out. Ashes are everywhere, but I think that's pretty much endemic to the whole area up here. As soon as I get off the phone with you, I'm going to continue sweeping off the roof because it's got a lot of pine needles on it, and then I'm going to hose it down and hope for the best. But there is a wall of smoke. I would say if a mile is 1,760 yards, it's about 800 yards away. I can't see flame, but the smoke is a wall, and I would guess it's about half a mile away.
Well, George, we're hoping for the best for you.
Thank you. I don't feel we're in any danger, but this is truly frightening. My neighbors are all packed. A voluntary evacuation program is underway right now.
When you were going to your house, George, describe a little bit more for us, if you would, please, what you saw. Were people running from their homes?
No, I was surprised at how empty the streets are. I think people are beginning to heed the call to get off the street, get out of this area, don't be up here. There's a traffic backup at key interchanges, like, for instance, at Mountain and Park, where you want to get up into the hills, some of those key interchanges, because that's where the police roadblocks are. But other than that, traffic is very quiet. What got me is I was going home and I saw people jogging around Lake Merritt and people out for walks and just sort of looking. I don't think the severity, the impact of what is happening to all of us here in the East Bay has really sunk in.
All right, George, we're going to let you go and take care of what you need to around your house, and if you need any help, you know, we're here and we hope for the best.
Thank you.
That was George Watson reporting live by phone. He was here earlier in the afternoon, and he was reporting on this fire, and sometimes when that's your job to do the reporting, you have to put aside your personal problems, and the whole time was worried about what was happening with his house as we heard of more evacuations. So he's out there now taking care of it, and hopefully everything will be okay. And some of when he was talking about the ash and the cinder, I was talking to Leslie and just a little while ago in the newsroom. I went in and we're several miles, at least a 15-minute drive from the Caldecott Tunnel area, and people out in our parking lot are saying, you know, this is what's on top of our cars out there because this is just raining down everywhere.
These are pieces of eucalyptus
trees
too, and there are very few eucalyptus trees around here, so these came from, I would guess, pretty far away.
And the eucalyptus trees that froze that last year, they're burning much more easily.
They're particularly
very
vulnerable.
Dry. These are live pictures again that we're seeing. This is what's going on. We've had a lot of problems. PG&E's reporting at least 10,000 people without power. They're asking to please, you know, cut back on your use of power if you can. 2 substations went down. We saw pictures earlier of a transformer exploding and people around the area reporting explosions, and that's what they were hearing. East Bay Mud is asking if you don't need to use water, please cut back on that too. All the resources are needed to fight this devastating fire. It's I think it was the mayor of Oakland calling it a disaster area and asking people, please get out of the area, evacuate, whether you have respiratory problems or not. You don't want to be breathing the smoke and being in this area. He's also was very angry earlier. Reportedly, people were watching and looking, and this is not the time to do that because emergency crews need to get in and out. They're having a hard enough time fighting this blaze.
Firefighters are saying that if you are trained in firefighting, if you want to volunteer to help, and I think this is unusual. I've never heard of firefighters letting volunteers come to a fire like this. Normally they're trying to get people out as quickly as they can, telling them to stay away, but they're saying that if you would like to volunteer, they would like you to go to 1605 Martin Luther King Way, and that is roughly at 17th and Martin Luther King. Also, we want to tell you that the footage that you saw a little bit earlier, where you saw the transformers, that is at Broadway and Lawton in Oakland. And another thing, if we get another chance, I would like for them to cue up the tape where it actually shows a transformer blowing up, because people are hearing these explosions, they're not understanding what they are, and that's apparently what's going on.
The Red Cross is also giving out at least 3 phone numbers now, and you'll be seeing those on your screen momentarily. Phone numbers where you can call for information, again, certainly about your loved ones or anyone that you're concerned about. The number is area code 510. First number is 535-2840. The second number, also in the 510 area code, 535-2868. And again, 535-2848. If you did not grab a pencil and paper and this is too fast for you, and we will make sure that we'll come back to it a little bit later on to make sure you'll have these phone numbers. But very quickly, these are the 3 phone numbers if you have any questions about your loved ones and any questions at all about this disaster.
And of course now they're saying that thousands of families have been evacuated, so I'm sure there are quite a few people who are looking for their loved ones tonight. We're told that that tape of the transformer exploding, Vern Hawkins had told us earlier that he was hearing explosions when he was out covering the fire, and we were trying to figure out what that was, and you're about to see one of the things that firefighters are having to contend with.
You'll see a couple of explosions here. There you go.
Look at it. Did you see that? It was hey, get away from those power lines!
Okay, these are the transformers blowing up, the explosions, so if you heard something, that's probably what you were hearing. And of course, leading to all kinds of problems tonight. We have 10,000 people without power, thousands of others without homes to go to. There's problems with water and resources to fight this fire. Agencies from all around the Bay Area are coming over to help and offering as much help as they possibly can. But as the Oakland fire chief said not long ago, that this is just moving so quickly, we just can't get a handle on it. And one of the reasons it's moving so quickly is because of these winds, these 15 to 25 mile per hour very dry winds. The National Weather Forecast says those will be with us until late tonight. So they're not going to get relief from those winds, and therefore the chief says this is just out of control, and what they're saying is that they're just trying to get everybody evacuated that they can.
Just to recap, now we are told 60 homes, 5 fatalities, and still at 9 injuries. I think we'll all be surprised if that figure is continues to be stable, because as Elaine just mentioned, the hospitals are now on red alert. That is emergency alert. And one thing that we want to try to explain to people, if you're at home and you're saying, why don't they know how many homes? Why can't they answer these questions that seem so urgent to you? One of the things is, and we saw this with the earthquake in October 17th, I mean, there is so much chaos that the phone lines are down. If you try to call someone, the phone lines are down. Reporters are having difficulty getting from one place to another. George Watson said that he had some problems and he just went over the roadblocks on his way to his home.
And if you just look at these pictures, now this is live, it'd be impossible to even count how many structures are engulfed in flames. I mean, this is going on right now. It looks like the dead of night. This is only, 4:35 in the afternoon, and on a day where the temperature is reaching 86 degrees, should have been a blue sky out there. What was very eerie was around 12:15 this morning, even when it first started, and you looked up in the sky if you were in that area, and you couldn't see the sun as you know it. What you saw was this little glow in the sky of this little red-orange ball with black clouds around it, and it was just an eerie sight. Another eerie sight was Highway 24. If you're able to cue that tape up for us a little bit later too, of Highway 24 just totally abandoned, looking very unreal. All of this, I think, really, it took everyone by surprise. If you weren't in the area immediately when it started and you heard, well, there's a fire in the Oakland Hills, often you hear there's a fire in the hills or there's a little brush fire, but to drive by it this morning and watch it taking off, and then watching it multiply into such a disaster, I think most people probably thought, well, by an hour or so, maybe they would contain it. And the heartbreaking thing is that the fire department's reporting that this was most definitely man-made, that it started last night by what they believed to be some kind of hot object, whether it was a cigarette or what, in the hills, and then, of course, the winds came up today, and so if indeed that is so, it's difficult to look at if it was natural in origin and to have been man-made, and watching all of this destruction and loss of lives and homes. It's a very devastating picture we're looking at.
We've got Diane Dwyer up on the roof of Channel 2, and we've been using, in fact, we've been using that picture quite a bit throughout the day today. Diane, what can you tell us?
Well, Leslie, what I can say is it's just absolutely eerie out here. It's the only way to really explain what it looks like. You can see the picture of the black cloud of smoke. It is literally blanketed all of Oakland, Berkeley, and all the way across the bay, all the way to San Francisco. We just got a report in from someone in Pacifica who says they can see the smoke now, and it is clouding their sunset over there. Well, you can feel it, you can taste it, you can smell it. It's just all over. The wind is changing directions constantly. Right now, it looks like the wind has died down from here, but it's constantly changing directions, and so it's causing problems for all of the firefighters trying to figure out which way to go. When I was coming across the San Mateo Bridge a few hours ago, it just looked it was just black for miles and miles and miles. Claremont Hotel and UC Berkeley areas have been evacuated. Montclair, you can see, and Oakland and Berkeley. There's house after house, as the pictures we've seen. What we have seen recently, which is good news, is we've seen at least 2 or 3 air bombers coming in and dropping water. So that was good. For a while, they had stopped. The flames are absolutely ferocious, as you can see here. There are houses going up, just house after house after house. I'm sure the numbers, as you have mentioned, are well over 60 at this point. It was reported at 11 o'clock this morning and took off at about 11:30. One good piece of good news is that there's just been an outpouring of goodwill from people. We have had people call in offering their homes to people who have been homeless, and we have food. People calling in for food and blankets at all the different evacuation centers.
Diane, can you hear me?
Through. Yes, I can, Elaine.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we just saw something on this live video, a home just consumed in flames and just collapsing. I don't know, do you have any video there? And another home is just collapsing.
I can see it now as well, Elaine. It is just moving so quickly and rapidly. And we talked to a firefighter, actually, who said what's happening is this whole area is creating its own environment, it's called a firestorm, and it's so hot that it's absolutely burning up all the oxygen in the area and creating a vacuum of oxygen sweeping in and making the fire even worse than it would have been. And apparently that is even causing more problems at this point.
And more unpredictable, because when it creates its own wind, when it gets so hot, there is no way to predict which way it's going to go. If it were just dependent upon which way the wind was blowing, that would be a little more predictable. Firefighters would know where to go in order to build their fire lines. But in this case, the wind's just whipping every which way, and as you said, Diane, creating its own environment, and it makes it even more unpredictable.
And Diane, we just got more bad news from the National Weather Service. They added that these winds are moving at about 15 to 25 miles per hour, and they're really dry winds, and the National Weather Service doesn't think that they'll die down until late tonight. So this is apparently going to be going on all afternoon.
Okay, Diane, keep an eye on things up there and let us know if you see anything. Now, from your vantage point, when you hear the figure of 60 homes, what do you think when you look in that direction?
It's really hard to tell from here, Leslie. It's just so black, but you just can't imagine when this whole area has been covered in such a thick layer of black smoke and flames. It's just got to be more. It has to be more than 60 homes at this point. And the pictures we've seen simply say it's moving so quickly no one can count.
All right, Diane.
Back to you two.
Thank you very much for that live report. We'll come back to you when you have more information to bring us. Thanks very much.
Another thing that we were talking about, Elaine, during the break is we're not hearing a lot from AC Transit, calls for help. Initially, they were asking for bus drivers to help evacuate people. Yes. And they're asking also for volunteers, which is very unusual and seems to indicate that this fire is massive. And what we're hearing from the wire services and people on the scene who are telling us that it looks far from being under control.
Well, the fire chief himself says it is absolutely not. It's moving so fast. The fire chief says they cannot get a handle on this, and the best they can do is just get the places evacuated. In the Berkeley area, we also want to mention that 9 fraternities and sororities have been evacuated, and you're looking once again at live pictures, and just a few minutes ago you just saw several homes collapse in this fire. And when you get reports that we just did from the National Weather Service that these winds will play havoc all afternoon, you can probably understand how this will become even more of a problem as the hours go on and it's feeding upon itself. People have been advised, whether you have respiratory problems or what, to please get out of the area if you're in any danger from the flames, but also from the smoke. The carbon monoxide levels are dangerously high because of all of the furniture that's being burned up inside these structures. And you have the poison oak burning in the hills, and so the smoke inhalation is a big problem. Several people have gone to the hospital already suffering from it. One of our cameramen was out getting pictures for us, for you to see, and he ended up in the hospital suffering from smoke inhalation. So Steve Carollo, we hope you're doing okay tonight. And then one of our reporters, Betty Ann Bruno, and her husband, Craig, one of our cameramen, they lived in their home for 30 years in the Oakland Hills, and their home burned down today. We were very sorry to hear that. George Watson is our anchorman. He is worried about his home in Montclair. We had a viewer call us saying that choppers are flying over the Montclair area with loudspeakers telling people, get out of the area.
Now, we were just told that, and there was some confusion about this earlier, volunteers now are apparently being asked not to go to that site, that now firefighters are saying that is creating more confusion. What they do want, however, are firefighters from other areas, and I think that it's easy to see why. They're asking for a call from anyone, and I would suspect they would be glad to have a retired firefighter if you're retired and you're watching this and you want to help. But they do want trained firefighters, and it makes a lot more sense than the information we got a little bit earlier.
Our producer was just talking to me, Leslie, while you were giving that information. We're getting a lot of viewers calling in saying, please show us a map, show us where the fire's burning. And one of the reasons that we haven't done that is because it's moving and spreading and changing so quickly that you make a map and it's out of date. We can say, though, it burned from the Caldecott Tunnel. It started. If you drive heading on Highway 24 and you're heading towards Orinda and you look up off your left and you see those Parkwood apartments, you can see that the fire was starting up in that area in the Oakland Hills. And then you heard that it was moving towards the Claremont Hotel and Claremont Avenue, but it also moved southward along Highway 13, and that's why the area called the Redwood Road area and Montclair area was evacuated. It was moving south along 13 to Park Boulevard where the Shepherd Canyons area was. And so it keeps moving, and now we're hearing that homes in Orinda are threatened. So it's very hard to come up with a map because it keeps moving and changing, and new fires keep breaking out. You have a fire behind Merritt College, you have a fire in Shepherd Canyon, you have the Tilden Park area. So you really have a very difficult situation. If we made a map right now, probably in 5 minutes from now, it would have changed. So what we'll do is we're keeping an eye on it, try to report all the fires that we can around the area, and then, of course, later on in the evening, maybe if the National Weather Service is right and the winds die down and they get more of a handle on it, we'll be able to prepare a complete map for you.
We're working on it, believe us. If the winds would just stop shifting. We are told that Vern Hawkins is standing by, and he has a report for us now. Vern.
Well, Leslie, what you're looking at in back of us across Broadway, the Upper Rockbridge area, and you can see what's happening there. The flames wildly out of control, moving down towards Broadway itself, and we don't know how many homes have been lost up there. It's pretty much the story throughout this whole area. We've heard about 100 homes, and that's a very conservative estimate. That was earlier. I spent the last 4 hours on Highway 24 at a command post there, and Don Matthews, the assistant chief of Oakland, was saying that it actually erupted yesterday in the same spot as Saturday's fire. It just rekindled. There were fire crews there at the time, and something happened. It took off in all kinds of directions. They're saying that the Santa Ana winds, of course, made it impossible to check, even though they were right on top of it, and it took off from there. About 4 hours ago, we were up near Lake Temescal, and standing across from the lake, we could see homes just going up in a matter of seconds directly across the lake itself. And in the lake, the helicopters would swoop down with the big buckets and try and lift up and protect the house next to one that was burning. But it was pretty futile because it would skip lines, jump across streets, and that's been pretty much the history all along. We understand from the mayor, who was at the command post a little while ago, there's a possibility of some fatalities. That's not been confirmed. It's just too much activity, It's too widespread to get a total big picture right now. But the winds are still very high, and where it's going next, nobody knows. Back to you, Leslie and Lane.
Vern, the 5 fatalities have been confirmed, unfortunately, and apparently they were all members from one family and one home that burned down. Vern, you're on the other side of the Caldecott. Just as a matter of how did you do this? How did you get to where you are? The 24 has been shut down in both directions?
Well, about 4 or 5 hours ago, we went up to the Lake Temescal area, which of course is on the Oakland side of the tunnel, and never reached the tunnel because we started in trying to cover the story at that point. There was an area called Highlands, and we talked to a man who was standing there watching his home burn across from Highway 24. In fact, it's called a hill or highland, some 350 homes up there. We saw about a dozen burning. He said that his was one of the early ones right across a ridge. So we stayed at that point, and at one point had to sort of retreat and go by the lake itself. It seemed like the safest place. Constant sound of explosions throughout the day, every few minutes. Could have been windows breaking, a gas tank going. It's hard to know what we've been hearing. We've just heard that eerie sound of intermittent explosions throughout the day, and the constant stream of helicopters and tankers and trucks, units from all over the Bay Area arriving on the scenes now, trying to do what they can, and there's not much they can do as long as these winds persist.
Vern, excuse me, what we're hearing in the background, is that firefighters asking the people that we see out there to leave? What are we hearing?
Well, there's an enormous crowd, of course, gathered right here at Broadway, and they're just simply watching the homes burn, and that's a problem for officials who want to keep them from going up into those neighborhoods. So they're saying, urging people not to cross the lines here at Broadway. There's just a lot of people looking. That's probably the noise you hear, as well as some of the people who've lived up here. They've been moved out of their homes. We've heard from the Red Cross a little bit ago at the command post, as many as 3,200 people. Vast areas being evacuated, and they don't even know at this point quite how many areas. But we were at a place just a little bit ago called Brookside, and that was right off Broadway, the side road along 24, and homes were just being ignited all around us. We had to keep moving out of the way and down back to 24 to the command post to try and get some information.
Vern, just describe a little bit about what's happening around you. Are you talking about hundreds of people in the area? Are streets blocked off? Are people being told to go away and get to a safe area and make room for emergency vehicles? What exactly is happening?
Well, back of me right now, what's happening, of course, is the area of Broadway and Lawton, and some residences just beyond that to the east. Those homes are going up in flames, and we can see the smoke, the fire, an actual firestorm racing up towards the top of that hill, unchecked. There are no people living in there at the point, and a huge crowd is collected here at the intersection to take a look at that. That's been going unchecked for some time now, and Chief Matthews said, we simply can't get a hold of it. It's too big. It's not going in any predictable direction. So I think the crowds are going to stay here, and the police are doing what they can to thin them out, but that's almost impossible. There's a lot of evacuation centers where they're prepared to have people stay overnight, several of them around the city. You can hear emergency units behind us. There's a fire unit from El Cerrito. It's just one of dozens nearby trying to get in and do what they can.
Vern, we're looking at what appear to be some very posh homes. Could you describe the area out there? And also, I'd like to know, are some of those people standing there that we're seeing in this picture, are some of those people watching their homes burn?
That's right. Some of them were told to leave, had to leave, ran out earlier, and this is as far as they can go. They've been standing here and watching their very own homes burn. We're trying to get a hold of somebody. We understand there's a gentleman over here who's one of those victims, and maybe we can get him over here to the camera right now.
Vern, when you were talking about explosions, perhaps it was some of the transformers that were exploding.
Well, that was true earlier. A transformer there by Lake Temescal. It's a big PG&E transformer unit, and that started to blow, and in fact, they moved the command post and, of course, us along with it. Here's a man whose home is on fire. You've been watching this awful thing behind you?
Yeah, we know that the houses on both sides of us are on fire when we left. We got out as fast as we could.
Did someone evacuate you? Did you hear about it?
There were people saying to evacuate, and we stayed to just hose down our roof until all the water pressure went, and the fire was obviously just getting closer, and we just took off.
How much time did you have to get out of it?
We had enough time. My wife and kids left first, and I stayed until things were all surrounding us, and that was it.
With a garden hose, it seemed a little futile, doesn't it?
Right. You had a couple of garden hoses, and watching these big trees go up, that was it.
Were there any fire trucks coming to your rescue right then? Or?
No, we didn't. We saw one truck for 50 homes. It really doesn't even look to me as if they're trying to put out the houses. They're just kind of cutting their losses and letting all those go and trying to make a fire break somewhere.
What street exactly were you on? How far is it?
We're on Ocean View, which is the very next street up, right at the top of the hill where all those flames are.
Doesn't look too optimistic for you at this point, then?
No, although it looked like it was picking off houses at random. I think there's going to be a few spared in the middle of all that. You just don't. It's like Russian roulette.
Well, we wish you good luck. If that's the right word. That's a problem with a firestorm like this, as the gentleman said, that a house will burn and next to it one won't. And it isn't even a case of one being stucco and one not. Certainly the shake roofs, the wood roofs are always been a bigger problem, but the main problem is these winds. And the fire crews, in spite of heroic efforts, but just can't keep up with it. Back to you, Leslie.
Thanks very much, Vern, for that live report. We've just gotten another report. You want to get an idea of the scope of this situation. We've gotten reports from viewers in Daly City who say ash is falling in Daly City, and it's very smoky out that way. We've been having problems here at Channel 2 even with the power surges because of everything that's going on. So it's anybody's guess how big this will get.
Another thing that we want to tell you is that today's fire bears a sobering resemblance to the Berkeley fire of 1923, which was California's single most destructive fire in history in terms of the number of structures that were lost. The date on that fire was September the 17th, 1923. The cause, a discarded cigarette, and that appears to possibly have been the cause of today's fire. The weather was hot. Dry wind from the east toward the bay, 25 miles per hour, remarkably similar to today. It began at about 3 p.m. in 1923, died down 2 hours later when wind from the east suddenly turned into a gentle breeze off the bay. Unfortunately, no sign of that happening so far. The location began in Wildcat Canyon. It spread from the hills into North Berkeley on, and then north of the UC campus, that is north of today's location. The result of that fire, 584 buildings were destroyed, most of them homes. 4,000 people were left homeless. Damage estimate was $8 to $10 million. And unlike today, there were no deaths in that 1923 fire. Today,
we already have
five confirmed.
And we have 1,000 homeless just at the Parkwood Apartments alone off of Highway 24. So, you know, as we said and we talked about all afternoon, conditions are just ripe for the same thing that happened in 23. We want to show you some Red Cross phone numbers now. If you are concerned for any of your loved ones and you've been separated and you have any information about this disaster, you need to get information. These are the 3 numbers to call, all of them in the 510 area code. And if you want to get a pencil and a paper, I'll take my time reading this, so make sure you can jot this down. The first number, 535-2840. The second number, also in 510 area code, 535-2868, and the last number, 535-2848. We will be repeating these numbers. This is the Red Cross disaster hotline for you to call if you have for anything that you need about people that you may have been separated from, concern about anything at all. Those are the numbers to call, and maybe they can help you out. We know at this point 60 homes have been confirmed destroyed. But again, by the pictures we have been looking at all afternoon, that is the Parkwood apartment complex when it was standing. That is no longer standing. That's where 1,000 people live, 400 units. You have 5 confirmed fatalities. Those were all members of one family in one home. Several people suffering from smoke inhalation, and one at least with serious burns, several other with burns at Alta Bates and Highland Hospital. But again, Those are reports that were a little bit earlier today, and by the looks of these pictures, perhaps we will be getting more information on that. Unfortunately, we expect those statistics to be growing, especially the number of homes burned. Earlier we were looking at, these are pictures from earlier. I would guess that this was somewhere around between 12:30 and 2, somewhere in there, where people were being evacuated around the Parkwood apartments. Now this is the picture when I came through the Caldecott Tunnel around 12:15 this afternoon. I was one of the last cars to get through the Caldecott Tunnel heading towards San Francisco. This was the wall of flames I saw earlier on the hillside. When you came through the tunnel, you saw flames right by the freeway on both sides of the freeway. Eucalyptus trees 100 feet tall on fire, and of course it was just a wall of flames. And you had traffic. Of course, they stopped the Caldecott. They closed the Caldecott Tunnel, and there weren't any cars getting through heading towards Orinda, and those people were just sitting alongside the freeway with the fire burning alongside their cars, you know, much like as close as you see in this picture here. And then what they had to do is get the people to turn their cars around, the cars that were heading eastbound, and actually go westbound on the eastbound lanes. And so it was very frightening as it was developing early today, and it's gotten even more frightening. It's like night outside. You have ash and debris raining down from the Channel 2 parking lot out here to Daly City, where they're reporting smoke. We're inside a studio, which is very protected. I don't know how many doors are between us and the outside, and we smell smoke inside here. It's a very bad situation. Gary Kauf is standing by live right now with another update report for us. Gary, where are you?
We are on Westminster and Glenwood, Elaine. That's perhaps a mile above Rockridge. Broadway is just below us. That appears to be the street that firefighters are going to try and make their stand on. The fire is steadily burning its way toward Broadway right now. The homes in danger are the ones just above Broadway on Glenbrook Drive. Two of those homes on Glenbrook are in dire danger. Homes just above them are both in flames. You're looking at one of those homes on fire right now, two of those homes on fire right now. The fire is burning through those backyards and towards the homes right behind us. Now, some of the residents along Glenbrook are out in front of their homes, people watering down their roofs in an almost hopeless effort to try and save their homes. Firemen are also using their thin resources to save a home just about in front of us. I don't know if you can make out the whipping of water going back and forth to save this line of homes from the advancing flames. Most of the people here have taken their valuables out. What do you grab at a time like this? We talked to Bill McInerney at 5616 Glenbrook just a few moments ago.
Insurance, that was the first thing. Any valuable papers, pictures, and some clothes. Everything else, just furniture's in there. Everything's out. Kids are gone. Wife is gone.
This is the popular shake roof here, isn't it?
This shake roof is less than 12 months old. I wanted to shake rather than a fireproof roof.
Why?
I thought it looked better. But I think the fireproof roof will look a lot better in about 2 days. Shingle will look like hell, I'm sure. But I like it. We'll come back. If it burns, come back. Build up. What?
Scared, or do you think you'll be okay, or what do you?
I'll be all right. Depressing, disappointing. Never thought this would happen to Oakland. It's going to take, from what I understand, the fire taking almost the entire hills of Oakland right now. A lot of people lived here all our lives, and a real tough break for Oakland. For those of us.
Oakland police officer just came by and said the fire is moving down Margarita right now. It seems to be going south by southwest at this point. The fellow we just talked to, Bill McInerney, he's gotten out of here. He's not going to stick around. It looks like firefighters are trying to keep his home and a couple of other homes along here from being caught by flames. But once again, the latest word is that they're going to try and make their stand along Broadway, which is just the left of us down the hill. It's a wide street. Hopefully they can keep the flames from jumping that street and going back up the hill on the other side. That's the latest we have. Elaine.
All right, thanks very much, Gary. We'll get back to you just as soon as you have some more information for us. You know, the Claremont Hotel we talked about was evacuated earlier today, and one of those unfortunate circumstances, it was just filled to capacity today because of the California-Washington football game. And so it was just filled, and people were told to go to Emerson, and then we told you that that was closed, and now we have we want to report the evacuation centers once again for you to go to. We were reporting Oakland Technical High School, but that just filled quickly, so do not go there. The other places to go to: Willard Junior High School, Oakland High, King Estates Junior High in Oakland, and Fremont. Those are some of the places you can go to if you need a place to stay tonight, if you've got separated from your loved ones. Apparently, we started off this day talking about hundreds of people evacuated. Now it's thousands of people evacuated, and just at the Parkwood apartment complex alone, that's right off of Highway 24 as you're heading to Orinda, and you look off to the left up on the hills, 1,000 people alone live there, and they're out of homes. So you can imagine that, you are talking into the thousands of people who are displaced. They have no place to go. We gave you the emergency numbers. Again, while we're talking, we always want to emphasize that you are looking at live pictures. This was not taken an hour or two ago. This is what's happening outside right now in the Oakland Hills. And the ash and debris is being carried across the bay. People from Daly City say it's raining on them, and it's smoky over there. It's smoky and over here and by the estuary in Oakland. You can smell it inside our studio. The smoke is very dangerous. Carbon monoxide levels, if they were dangerous an hour ago, they are probably even more dangerous at this point. We aren't an expert on that, but an hour ago we were being told the carbon monoxide levels were so high because of all of the synthetics that were burning, all of the furniture inside these homes, and then you have the poison oak burning in the hills. And at first they were saying people with respiratory problems to please get out of the area, but you can see that it would not be healthy for anybody to breathe in this smoke. So if you don't have to be in the area,